Okay, how's everybody doing? Welcome to episode number 58 of the Home Service Small Business Spotlight. I am your host, Arthur Yon, and we are very happy to have you joining us. We always appreciate the audience tuning in and listening. And we've got a great guest today. I've already had a great conversation with him, and it's exciting to bring him on. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce him right now. He is Phil DePaul. He is the CEO of BoomZeal Enterprises. He is located in Long Island. Phil, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Arthur. Thanks for having me.
Great. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for being on. This is a pleasure. And I'm looking forward to having a good discussion with you, getting to know and letting the audience get to know a little bit about what you're doing. So if you could start off, we usually do this. If you start off and tell us some about your background and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, well, we all have a history, right? As an entrepreneur, I like to think that my journey started early in that I've always been an avid learner. I've always enjoyed playing on in a team environment. So I do well on my own. I do well with others. I like being on other people's teams. I liked eventually taking leadership roles on someone else's team. And my journey into business ultimately was just sparked by my desire to lead my own team. And I spent a long time working in the plumbing wholesale industry. So my father being a New York City plumbing foreman and doing a lot of trade work, I was always around that environment where the blue collar, the trades uh, made a healthy impression on me. And I had a good youth. I come from a good family, so I'm very fortunate. I hit the lottery in terms of being in a good place in a good home. So I like to always thank that environment that my parents and my family created. And when I sunk my teeth into business and started wrapping my head around, okay, people got to make money. Everybody has a first job and a second job. And the wholesale industry and plumbing supplies taught me a lot about business, taught me a lot of interpersonal dynamics. And from there, I parlayed a 14-year career where I grew up inside of somebody else's business until I ran out of room. And I liked building a team inside of someone else's environment. And I saw that we were of service and doing sort of essential work, providing essential supplies to essential workers, because guess what? We're all comfortable living in our homes, turning the heat on in the winter, the air on in the summer. And there's certain things that are never going to go out of style. And the trades and buildings and structures, they always made sense to me. So I figured it was a good place to be. And from there, I jumped into a disaster recovery program that worked on a large scale, helping the folks mostly of the South Shore of Long Island recover from Hurricane Sandy. And very eye-opening experience. So my role started out more as an office-based role on the back end of administering a program as a part of the management team, and then it transitioned to field work and being in construction. And while my history, my experience to that point didn't say that I was a master builder of any sorts, I was exposed and had opportunity to help people through a process and to learn a lot during that time. And when my best work had been behind me, I said it's time to jump. And I looked at franchises. And I jumped into the restoration industry, not because I had any direct experience. I wasn't a restorer, but the idea of creating win-win experiences for our clients when something bad happens, showing up, whether it's the middle of the night or an inconvenient time and someone's in a traumatic situation, whether it's small, medium, or large, trauma is trauma, however we perceive it. And the process of mitigating damage and helping someone through that really appealed to me. So even though my body of work didn't say it, my energy and my passion really got behind the concept. And I said, you know what? This is something that'll be fun to execute. And it kind of, if you're asking about the origin story, that's how I got started on my own journey of building our tribe, as we like to call it here at BoomZeal.
Well, and it's a great story. And you mentioned two things, energy and passion. And that's something that you need, right? To get really fully immersed in the restoration world, and the home services world too. But I really like how you but you built up that story of just being well-rounded, like having all of that knowledge and passion of putting into helping people get their homes comfortable, getting the air running in the summertime, the heat running in the wintertime. There's so many components within a person's home, and so many people just they need help, and that's what it's all about, is helping them and helping put them back together after, we talked about my background. I have a background in restoration as well. So tell us some about BoomZeal. I introduced you as the founder of BoomZeal Enterprises, but it is a concept you mentioned, and it's something that's very exciting. So can you go into that a little bit for us?
Yeah, well, by now you probably saw these two different logos sticking out. It's like, all right, well, who is he? Because I don't see BoomZeal on his chest. Uh, so United Water Restoration, One Tom Plumber, and we also have a couple of other portfolio companies from junk removal and moving services called Low Price Junk Removal. We have United Shield Contracting, which is remodeling and reconstruction division that we have. So our umbrella, our team, our tribe operates these four different brands at present. All right. We reserve the right to change this at any moment. Growth is certainly a big part of our plan, but what's the unifying element that ties all these things together? And outside of just myself being common thread, because we have so many integral team members that have helped make this possible and serve our community every day, it's a matter of, well, what's the brand? What is the unifying element that centralizes all of these things that we do, right? We talked about being comfortable in the home, and home is an emotional place, right? It's a structure. It exists rationally. It exists functionally. It has tactical elements. But at the end of the day, there's a difference between a house and a home. And while a lot of the work we do is residential, we also do a lot of commercial. So maybe the feelings about your workplace or the building that you own to operate your business aren't as warm and fuzzy as your couch and your fireplace and your bed. However, structures exist in this world, and they're not going anywhere. So BoomZeal, while it wasn't invented, so to speak, it wasn't brought to life because structures are interesting and they're necessary. It's been the unifying element. It's been the central theme of not what we do, but how we do it. And the only thing that really makes anything special, how a brand is built, is the predictability of the experience that the end user perceives when the good or service has been delivered. So what we do is we call BoomZeal the thing that our stamp. It's the impression that we make, where no matter what logo or service we operate, that we provide to the marketplace, it's how we do it. And even most importantly, it's who. So I like to say that BoomZeal Enterprises is a who company. So if you know who you're doing business with, I think that it changes a lot of the dynamic of what experience you could expect. So our brand is one of expecting the type of person who's going to show up on your doorstep, either for the emergency or the scheduled service. It's the idea that we're going to remain accountable to the outcomes, to the services that we provide, and seeing you through, being solution oriented. And I'm starting to rattle off some of our values. So BoomZeal Enterprises is a value oriented organization that's built to serve. Now we have the beauty of having these different brands, these different services, these different logos, companies, and teams that specialize in doing all these different services. And you can say, well, these services make sense, especially the two that I'm wearing, right? So for emergency services, you get an emergency call that has to do with water, whether it's clean water or contaminated sewage water. You're probably going to need a plumber. You're probably going to need someone to clean it up at some point. So why should someone experiencing that have to try to answer all these questions, find more and more people that they know, like, and trust to work with in this time of need, when if we do a good job in our messaging, the public should know that we exist for these situations, not just to do one thing, but to take this truly holistic approach towards solving problems and leading people, our clients, out of these messy, ugly, or dirty, disgusting, dangerous situations that they're in. So BoomZeal Enterprises exists not to do plumbing or to do restoration, but we're really bringing to life, like you said, passion and energy, something that our tribe rallies around, how we do what we do, what we bring to work every day, before our trucks roll, before we arrive at the job site, to start or complete a project. It's that element that our big why is tied to. So BoomZeal Enterprise, what I like to say is that we exist to empower leaders, to unite teams that energize communities. And the way that we choose to do that right now is by helping make the process of maintaining your home or your property more manageable. Thus, we've been able to connect the dots between why we exist, who we are, and what we do.
That's fantastic. And you've got the foundation for making something successful and setting the tone, not just within your organization, but outside to the end user, to the customer, to the homeowners. And that's an amazing way to do it. And you've got the blueprint. And I want to ask you this too, Phil. Talk about how homeowners can benefit the most from what you're putting together with BoomZeal.
That's behind the scenes, right? We sit around the conference room table. We get it. Like ourselves, we know that we do these different things. We have all-stars up and down our roster. So we know what we're good at, but that's where like marketing and branding and messaging and sales come in. And when you talk about our focus right now, we're really proud of what we built. And we're really focused on getting that message to those who we exist to serve and expressing that value proposition. So that's the catch, is tying these brands together and letting folks know who they may have found us because we have outstanding Google reviews. So we pride ourselves on getting those client testimonials, having them posted for the world to see, and good, bad, or indifferent. Trust me, we're not bribing anyone to say good things. And when they're shouting out our technicians or any of the leads that help deliver these services, we like to think that speaks the most, other than just paying for ads or mailers or the things that a company has to do to raise awareness. So what we are challenged with, what we have the opportunity to do now that we have these different teams and we have these specialists who are really good at what they do, but they do different things, it's conveying that to the client that we serve yesterday, a year ago, or 5 years ago when we started, that you had a really good experience with us. You liked working with us when your basement was flooded. But guess what? We hope your basement never floods again. And you hear me use the word client a lot, right? Because in my mind, we're not a transactional business. And that's where it really all started for me. Was I didn't want transactional jobs that we do the thing and we move on. That was just a job that we did. It's a relationship. And life is filled with relationships. So we value that relationship. So we're like, how can we serve the client that had a good experience from a bad situation from, let's say, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and let them know, hey, you liked us, you trusted us, you got to know what we were about. The same stuff, those values, that what we're about, the experience that we exist to deliver. Well, guess what? You see this pink plunger over here? The pink plunger does the same thing that the restoration team did for you. They just have different tools. They have different skills, but it's us. And that messaging is the thing that's really consuming a lot of our energy, because we're proud of who we are. We're proud of what we do. And we're also committed to doing it better and better, that we don't walk around saying, we're the best, hire us. I mean, you could do a Google search. I'm sure that everyone proclaims that they're number one, right? The best in Long Island, the number one. We are actually at United Water Restoration and at United Water Restoration 3 years running, and 1 year running at Low Price Junk Removal. We literally were voted best of Long Island in the largest competition that's publicized in this community.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. And we work hard for that. And we hope to continue on that tradition, that legacy. And we know that we're going to make mistakes, but I'll tell you what, if something goes wrong, we're not running the other way. We're not the one that takes the phone and, puts it off the hook. Not that anyone has a dial tone anymore, but when it comes to, owning up to what goes wrong and being humble when things go right, and treating our team members right so that they do the best work, they have the best tools, they have the best education and knowledge. We believe that word of mouth and reputation is the best marketing campaign. So that's why the what is less important. It's like, yeah, we're a plumbing company, we're a restoration company, but why do we exist? We exist to serve and to create value, to provide value. So we try to stay focused around that and 5-star client experiences. And hopefully that'll keep paving the way for future opportunities for us to grow and make more of those relationships.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And you make an excellent point when you say that it's people aren't looking to see who's shouting and pounding their chest and saying that they're the best. They're looking who is going to solve my problem, who can perform, and show me that they're the most capable or the best. And I think that you've carved out that whole mindset, which is perfect. And kind of leading into that, Phil, I was going to ask you, you've touched on so much of it already, but what really are some of the biggest inspirations that you've had to build this and to get into this business and this industry of helping put homeowners back together?
So I'll go two ways. The quick one is like me, right? It has to start with one. Everything starts with one. You're talking to me. So if you're going to ask me what's inspired me to do this, is that number one, I get the opportunity to help people. Like jumping into any business, and I'm really agnostic. Everyone who knows me knows that I don't really care what I do. I'm focused on how I do it, and is it going to challenge me? Is it going to give me opportunity to grow personally, professionally? I want to live a full life. I want to accomplish things, and money is really a small part of the equation for me in terms of, I think that when a business has success and it has financial success, it feeds a lot. It feeds a lot of change in the community. It puts a lot of food on a lot of tables. People who are proud to wear our brands and be part of the BoomZeal tribe. So from me, if you want to know what powers me, it's doing things with people that I know, like, and trust, that our values resonate with, that bring me to life. Like you and me, we're getting to know each other. And as we do that, it's like, well, you're my kind of people. Like I share this passion for being of service and being of value. And any way that I could do that, the more value I could provide, obviously I will get benefit from it, but I get to give benefit at the same time. So restoration, as my jumping off point, was the opportunity to help people, especially with the insurance claims process. It's complicated. It's convoluted. And look, I'm wearing the white collar today. So I got to take a white collar approach towards a blue collar business. Because trust me, cleaning up Cat 3 water and solids
You don't want to
is
wear
not
white for that, do you? Unless it's a hazmat suit.
yeah, I mean, it's not luxurious. So I was like, this industry has, and it's what it's done is it's opened up a lot of things, a lot of pathways for me. So that's like the selfish view. But when I look outside myself, this is all for other people. Like, and the motivation comes from, I'm inspired every day by my team, by having the right people next to me in the saddle who are focused on being their best selves and learning and growing and developing skills to do what they do best. And we're all learning in the process. And then why do we exist? We exist for that client, for the homeowner. We exist for the property manager, the property owner, the business owner. That's like, I can't have the shop not open its doors because of this, that, or the other thing, the mold, the plumbing, the clogged toilet, the overflow. So if we can't play a role in helping make other people's lives better, what the heck are we doing?
Yeah, and it's just very well stated, Phil. And to point out something, I noticed you had a post on, I think it was LinkedIn, about an Alex Hormozy quote and referencing him. And so you understand the power of good business coaching, and you understand the power of, instilling the right mindsets and the right habits and those types of things. So share with us maybe just one or two philosophies that you've been able to implement to help you keep yourself just constantly in that routine and constantly pushing forward.
So you brought up my boy Alex Hormozy, right? I may not be his boy, but he's my boy, and he speaks to me. What I like to say is, future me, future highly successful me, speaks with Alex's voice because it makes so much sense. He's just done it. He's saying the things that I almost foundationally know to be true, except he's lived them and experienced them. And my experience touches on it, borders on it. It's fractional. It's just not to the same height. So I'm glad you brought up Alex. One of the things that I think that he speaks so plainly, and he dresses very plainly as well, which I respect. He doesn't pretend to be anything he's not. And truthfully, I don't try to pretend to be anything I'm not. If anything, we just try to be the best version of ourselves. And sometimes you gotta, I like to say, you lead from the front. And the way means that what that means is that there might not be a path. You might not know the best decision to make, the right thing to do. You just have to do it. So you have to take action. And decisiveness is something that I'm truly focused on, which is that the inertia sometimes of change and making decisions, and also separating feelings from action and circumstances and the environment. And Alex is big on this. He's like, I heard him say the other day, you're talking about trauma. So think about trauma. Trauma is how you perceive an event or an occurrence to affect you. But if you separate the feeling from the fact, like let's say the rain makes me sad. Well, no, it rains, and then you apply a feeling towards it. But if the more you can control your environment and your inner self, and this is where a lot of practices that I don't practice nearly as much as I'd like, from an exercise, fitness, or nutrition routine, from meditation to all of these other wonderful ways to take care of ourselves. Brain health is tremendous, and having self-discipline to me is so powerful. So Alex really, he hits on a lot of that, where like, be master of your own universe. Try not to let those external forces stop you from taking those calculated risks and powering forward on the path that you believe you should be on, and try to separate what is real and what's tangible from how are we just applying our perspective, our past experiences, or others. Don't let others affect how you approach an opportunity or a situation. And so we talked about Alex. I also have I work with a coach, David Meltzer, who's really prolific in his spirit of gratitude and what he offers, and talking about tapping into your potential. And again, the messaging, when the more thought leaders and mentors that you have in your ear and that take up space in your head and your heart, I feel like it helps you learn more about yourself and then be your best self. So I'm all about that. I'm the guy who throws himself at every challenge, and often too many challenges, sometimes at the same time. So I'm actually trying to slow myself down with those ambitions and goals. I want to go deep rather than wide. And that's really profound for relationships too. You don't need a million friends, a million clients, a million employees. Just put one big dent. Pick your spot. So
Yeah, I completely agree with that, Phil. And I think, like you said, you don't want to have too many, you don't want to be overloaded, but you do want to have multiple sources of getting that, those insights, getting those different ways of thinking and approaching, your mind, approaching your life, your business, everything, your mindset. And so I think that's fascinating. And as you mentioned too, it's been awesome. We're getting to know each other. How can other people get to know you too? So share with us your website, your social media, how people can get in touch with you.
yeah, the best way to start your journey with BoomZeal Enterprises is at our website, www.boomzeal.com. And from there, you'll get to see the different portfolio companies and the teams that we operate. You can go on a journey, just see who we are, what we're about, our values, our services. And that's, we're on a path. The path is moving forward. It's not a straight path. Nothing in life is, but we're here to serve, and we're having fun doing it.
Awesome. Well, that sounds good. Phil, I appreciate it, man. This has been a great discussion. This has been very insightful, and I think everybody listening is really starting to see your vision and starting to see where this is heading. I think it's a fascinating concept, and it's something that homeowners probably, they're needing. Homeowners need it, property owners need it.
I'm one.
Um,
I'm
so yeah, Phil, once again, thanks again for joining us. He's Phil DePaul. He's the CEO of BoomZeal Enterprises. That's BoomZeal. He also owns a couple of franchises, including United Water, One Tom Plumber. He's representing those brands today. If if you're watching this, you can see him. If not, you can still reach out to him, boomzeal.com. And Phil, thanks, man. I'm looking forward to talking more.
Same here, Arthur. Thank you.
Thank you. And everybody, tune in for the next episode. This has been episode 58. We'll see you next time. Have a wonderful week.